Imagine you own a business where you have an infinite line of credit. You can buy anything you want, cars, mansions, armies, by writing a check that you never actually have to cash. The entire world agrees to this arrangement. They work hard, they build factories, they mine gold, and they send it all to you. In exchange, you give them pieces of green paper. Sounds like the ultimate cheat code, right? But there is a catch so small, so subtle, that for 80 years almost no one noticed it until it was too late. To keep this power, you are forbidden from ever balancing your checkbook. You must go into debt. You must let your own factories rot. You must eventually destroy your own economy to save everyone else's. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a mathematical certainty known as the Triffin Dilemma. And right now, the United States isn't the master of the global economy, it's a prisoner, and the walls are closing in. To understand the trap, we have to look at the bait. Go back to 1944. The world is in ruins, except for one country. The United States has all the gold, all the factories, and all the leverage. So, at a hotel in Bretton Woods, a deal is struck. The US dollar becomes the world's reserve currency. Here is what that actually means in simple English. If Germany wants to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, they can't use German marks. Saudi Arabia doesn't want marks, they want dollars. So virtually every country on Earth needs a stockpile of US dollars just to do business with each other. Even if America isn't involved in the trade, America's money is. This creates a massive, insatiable hunger for greenbacks. The world is screaming, "Give us dollars." And this is where the trap snaps shut. How does the US get those dollars into the hands of foreign countries? We can't just mail them cash for free. We have to buy things from them. We have to import. To supply the world with the money they need, the United States must run a trade deficit. We have to buy more than we sell. We have to send dollars out and take goods in. If the US tries to be responsible, if we try to export more than we import or balance our budget, the supply of dollars globally dries up. When the supply dries, global trade crashes, emerging markets collapse, everyone goes broke. So the world comes to America with a gun to our head and says, spend, keep buying our stuff, keep printing money, do not stop or we all die. This sounds great for the American consumer, cheap TVs, cheap clothes, cheap electronics, but it is a death sentence for the American producer. Because the dollar is in such demand globally, its value stays artificially high. That makes American products expensive to the rest of the world. A factory in Ohio isn't just competing against a factory in China, it's competing against the US dollar itself. This is the exorbitant privilege. We get cheap imports and low interest rates. In exchange, we hollow out our industrial base and replace it with a financialized economy built on debt. We traded our factories for banks. We traded our workers for consumers. And for a long time, the math worked. But now, we are reaching the end of the equation. Here is the uncomfortable reality that politicians ignore. The United States has roughly $34 trillion in debt. In a normal country, investors would look at that number, panic, and stop lending them money. Interest rates would skyrocket, and the currency would crash. But the US is not a normal country. China, Japan, and Europe hold trillions of that debt, not because they love America, but because they have nowhere else to put their money. They need dollars to stabilize their own currencies. They are trapped in the cage with us. If they sell their US debt, the dollar crashes. If the dollar crashes, the value of their savings evaporates, and their export markets, meaning us, disappear. It is a dynamic called mutually assured financial destruction. But recently, something changed: the weaponization of the dollar. When the US froze Russian assets, a chill went down the spine of every central banker in the global south. They realized that their safe savings could be turned off with a switch. So they started looking for an exit. You hear the hype: the dollar is dead, buy gold, buy Bitcoin, the yuan is taking over. But let's look at the reality. You can't replace the dollar with the Chinese yuan. Why? Because China refuses to run a trade deficit. They want to sell, not buy. They keep their currency locked down. You can't run a global economy on money you can't freely move. You can't replace it with the euro. Europe is too fragmented. You can't replace it with gold. There isn't enough of it to move at the speed of modern commerce. And that is the irony. The dollar isn't strong because the US economy is healthy. It's strong because the rest of the world is worse. It is the cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry pile. So the system limps on. The US prints more money to pay the interest on the money it already printed. The world buys that debt because they need the collateral. The balloon gets bigger, the skin gets thinner. The scary part isn't that the dollar will collapse tomorrow. The scary part is that there is no mechanism to fix this without a collapse. To fix the US debt, we would have to stop importing and stop borrowing. If we do that, the global supply of dollars vanishes, trade freezes, a global depression begins. To keep the world economy safe, we have to keep inflating the bubble until it consumes everything. We are driving a car at 100 miles per hour with no brakes. The world is in the back seat, screaming at us to keep driving because slowing down would hurt too much. The question isn't who will replace the dollar. The question is, what happens when the only asset that holds the world together becomes the liability that tears it apart?